Hello, hello. This live is to introduce you to Kaitlin, a member of my amazing Love Understood coaching team. And we're going to be talking about the challenges of the people that we work with, the wins of the people we work with, and introducing you to some different conversations around coaching. So let me just invite Kaitlin on. And Kaitlin should be popping on any moment. Let me check here, accept the invitation.
Hi.
There we go. There's Kaitlin.
How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Beautiful.
I got some background noise. Wife's dealing with boy who just woke up from a nap, so there might be
Aw,
some little whimpering in the background.
cute.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to have you on this live. This was kind of part of a series that Kaitlin, Roy, and I created to introduce you to two of the amazing teammates that are on this coaching team. This one is Kaitlin.
Hi,
And so I wanted to have this
everyone.
conversation. Yeah, welcome.
Oh, thanks for joining us. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. So I wanted to introduce you and talk about what it's like to work with us, talk about some of the challenges that people experience and the wins. And I actually also want to talk to you, given that you have counselor background and training, about the post I did yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw it. Did you see it?
Is it the narcissist one?
That's the one, yeah.
Oh,
I
cool.
want to talk to you about that one and get your perspective on
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So first, why don't you tell us who you are and what you're doing here on this Love Understood
Yeah.
team.
So, hi, everyone who's tuned in. And my name's Kaitlin, and I'm part of the team. And how long have I been coaching? I think I've been coaching for almost 15 plus years. And
Wow.
yeah, I started out more in like the nutrition world, health coaching, and then I've moved into counseling. And now I'm kind of in between counseling and coaching with you, Simon. It's been great. And what can I tell you? I absolutely love every moment of it. I love every client that walks into that Zoom call, and I really love this idea of awakening humanity to the love that exists for them. And that's really my guiding force. That's my compass. And that's why I really enjoy the program that Simon's created and what he stands for. And it seems like in alignment with what I want to create for people. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're bringing up the mission that we've created. We're under construction right now. Love Understood is under construction. I'm working with this incredible team to rebrand and redesign and get extremely clear and fine-tuned about what we're doing for people and what we're looking to create. So one of the things that we created is our mission is to lead world-class programs that awaken people's natural ability to experience love and connection.
Yeah.
And as Kaitlin was alluding to right there, we believe that it's actually natural. Like it just comes by nature for us to share and receive love and connection. But we've been through heartbreaks and challenges, and we've gotten cynical or discouraged, and suddenly holding back that natural ability to experience and create love and connection. So that's really what the hell we're doing here.
And I love that because life is better shared, like you say. And it's a known fact, right? And I say that to a lot of clients. I say you could move to a cabin in the woods with your 10 dogs and cats. That's an option, right? And there's actually another option with, like, you talk about ease and love and connection and that extraordinary partnership or relationship that you truly do crave, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that example you bring up too, like moving to the woods, because that's a common thing people say, right? I just want to move into the woods and I'm going to make my own food. Like it's a part of it is like so cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like, that sounds amazing. And there's another part of it that's like so isolating.
Yes.
And so it's like, if that's your desire, hell yeah, let's do that. But what we're looking to do here is to inspire people that that is best shared.
100%.
That everything in life is best shared with the people you love and care about. And so if that is your desire, whatever your desire is it coming from a place of love, like authenticity, like a genuine desire? Or is it coming from a place of fear? Like, screw everybody, I don't like the world, I'm going to go hide from it.
Yes. And that question's so powerful. And I use that all the time with clients. And another one I like to ask is it coming from your worth or is it coming from your wound? Right.
So say more about
So
that. What is that? What is
in that context, it's kind of like the love and fear that we talk about in the depth though of, am I acting in a certain way because I feel like I'm not enough? So I feel like I need to perform, I need to appease. Or when I'm coming from my worth, I know what I value, I know what I stand for, and I'm going to have aligned action with that, right? And a lot of our relationships I see, you probably see it with our clients and even personally, a lot of my relationships were coming from a wound rather than from my worth. So I was making decisions from that place of not feeling like I was ever enough.
right? Like our limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
or our trying to prove something, or compensating for
And it's
something.
like that relationship blueprint that we go over in the program, right? Where we go through those certain situations that create a belief or a way that we operate as a way to protect ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
From ever feeling that hurt or that abandonment again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Caitlin's alluding to one of the exercises in our Love Over Fear program, which is the relationship blueprint, where we identify 3 or more key moments in life that shaped our beliefs. And so those beliefs might be, I'm not good enough,
Yep.
love doesn't last, I'm unlovable.
I have to try really, really hard to get
Everything,
love.
yeah. If it's not hard, it's not worth it. You know, all these different limiting beliefs that actually color how we think and then color how we behave.
Yeah.
And so we get to the source of that so that we can disarm those limiting beliefs and create empowering beliefs, shifting behavior, and the dominoes fall from there.
And I think, Simon, recently you did a post about your wife saying one of the limiting beliefs is that you don't have freedom, right? And I don't know about you, but I look at partnership as a way to elevate, as to make your life more colorful, more beautiful, more expansive, more of you, not less of you, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really common perspective of I'm going to lose a part of myself if I commit to someone.
Yeah.
I'm going to not get to do something. It's going to be this huge sacrifice that's actually going to be, have me be worse off.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I shared that post. It was so cool. I asked my wife, I was like so proud in the moment. I texted her from upstairs and I was like, what's the limiting belief you think people have about relationships? And she said that they're not freedom.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt so great because to me that showed that she sees it as more freedom, you know, which is just like a wonderful reminder. It's like, how cool is it that we're in a relationship and we feel more free together than apart?
Yeah.
It just made me so happy. But it is, I think, a unique way to look at commitment and connection.
And the thing that came when you were sharing that is this idea of self-abandonment, right? Of course you feel like it's not freeing or expansive if you feel like you have to jump your own ship and hop onto theirs rather than coming together and creating something even more expansive and more beautiful, right? And that's what I really see when someone says, oh, I'm not going to have freedom. It's like, well, is there a belief around that you feel like you have to self-abandon to be in a relationship?
Can you say more about self-abandonment? Because I think some people might get that and some people might not. When you talk about self-abandonment, what does that look like?
So self-abandonment to me is when you forget about the relationship to yourself with a capital S, right? So what you value, what you're passionate about, what brings you joy, what calms you, what are like those values? Like, is optimism really important to you? Is generosity, all those things, right? And then all of a sudden, maybe you meet someone and you're noticing, oh, like I'm not speaking up, or I'm not using my voice, or I'm doing things that don't really feel good in my body, but I'm going to continue doing it anyways, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretending to be someone I'm not, thinking that this is the way to get love in this connection,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then all of a
Like,
sudden,
go ahead.
yeah, you get farther
Sorry.
away, right, from who you are, and you've
Uh-huh.
completely like left your ship and you've jumped onto their ship, and then all of a
Right.
sudden you're like, whoa, I feel so restricted. I feel like I don't even know where I am. I'm way across the ocean. Like, what the heck
Right.
happened?
Which is probably, we see that most commonly in people who make their relationship their whole world, like overinvest in their relationship, like
Yeah,
I'm going to die without this person, or I'm going to live, like my life can only be great with this person. And then we start to abandon ourselves and our principles and what we desire. That's what you're
exactly.
referring to, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot too in the program with like our attachment styles, right? And also that idea of codependency versus interdependence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when I hear you say that, it's like I'm choosing to be in this relationship. It's not a need, right? It's a choice. It's actually like the cherry on top of life that can elevate it. It's not like if I don't have this, like I'm going to, crumble into a
Yeah.
million pieces, right? And that's
What
the
a,
difference, the choice, and that relates to freedom,
yes.
right?
What a beautiful context shift. I can certainly relate to self abandonment myself as well. Before I met my wife, I was engaged to someone many years ago, my first engagement, and that relationship didn't work
Yeah.
because I abandoned myself. And I remember, I look back, there was a really key moment 3 months in where I share about this in the blind spot
Yeah.
video that you can see on the link in my bio if anyone's curious. But I remember driving to see her. I was so excited. And we were doing long distance. She was about 3 hours away. And I drove to see her, and I'm like opening the door, and I'm about to like give her a hug and a kiss. And I look at her in the face, and she's like not excited, kind of like blank face, like stressed actually. And I was like deflated. And I said, "Hey, hi, good to see you." And she's like, "Oh, hey, come in. My dad's pissing me off, and oh, there's so much to do right now." And I was just like, this is so not what I was expecting. I was like ready to have a moment with you. And then I was like, okay, yeah, what do you need? What's going on with your dad? And we're present with each other, and I'm trying to help her out with what she's dealing with. And we go upstairs, and we just kind of move on with the day. And then later that night, when we're washing up from dinner, I tell her, I was like, it kind of sucked when I opened the door. I was really looking forward to a hug and a kiss from you, and excitement and enthusiasm, and that wasn't there. And yeah, it kind of sucked for me a little bit. And she was like, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's no big deal. I just had a lot on my mind." And I was like, "Okay." And I ended the conversation there. But I didn't want to end the conversation there. I was like, I wanted to say, this is really important to me when we greet each other, that we're fully present, that we actually get to take a moment to embrace each other and feel connected. But I got
Yeah.
scared that if I said that, I would look needy. And so
Yeah.
I abandoned my own principles, my own desires and needs for love so that I could be liked in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think we do that so easily
Oh,
in relationships because it's scary. It's scary to stand up for yourself.
oh yeah, it can be. And also being honest, right? That can be tough. Like being honest in that moment, of like, this actually doesn't work for me, or this isn't really what I want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is my part in that is I didn't have the courage. I didn't feel like I could at that time speak what was actually my truth.
Yeah. And it could be because we've tried it before and someone said, you shouldn't want that,
Yeah.
or that's not important, or get over it. And then we go, shit, maybe I should just get over it. And I'm like trying to change who I am when it's who I am. Your needs are your needs. I did a post about this years ago that popped up on my own feed again. Your needs are your needs. They're not good or bad. They're just your needs.
Yeah.
But we often put them through that filter of, do I have a good need? Am I supposed to want this? Am I not supposed to want this? It's what you want.
Yeah.
It's what you want.
Yeah.
But it's hard, like you said, it takes courage to be honest about it and not self-abandon.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the most empowering place to be, right? Is you and I both know is it's kind of exploring, like after something like a breakup happens, or even like, calling off a wedding, is I need to be honest with like my part in all this and what I didn't say, or even how I showed up. And that can be really hard to look at sometimes, especially we'll talk about that narcissist thing, right? Where it's like we have all these labels now, or we have all the blame, but when we blame, there's no room to look inward and actually see what needs our attention. And that's the most beautiful thing about breakups, separations, all these things. It's like the grand restructuring. It's a huge opportunity for growth, right?
Well, that's where our power lies.
Yeah.
Looking inward. I was on a call with my coach just an hour ago.
Yeah.
And she was putting me through the ringer. I was feeling discouraged and frustrated and, not feeling powerful. And I was,
yeah.
I was in tears. Like just an hour ago with my coach, I was in tears and I was feeling very overwhelmed. And I was like, I feel like it's all on my shoulders. And she heard me and listened to me and recreated me. And she said, of course it's all on your shoulders. Would you want it any other way? Would you want your circumstance and your situation to be up to somebody else? And I was like, no, I want it to be mine. I want it to be all up to me.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what comes with that is you having to step up and be a huge person that sometimes you're scared to be.
Yeah.
And so it's like the permission to be scared. Like you're actually allowed to be scared. It makes sense to be scared. But most of us don't give ourselves that permission slip. I wasn't giving myself that permission slip for the few moments during that call. And then I did. And that's why we coach, you and me and the whole team, that this work is a moment by moment experience. Yeah. It's not like I am empowered because I went to a coaching program and I'm empowered forevermore. It's no, I have learned new tools to create empowerment quickly in moments where I'm scared and don't know how. And so now when I'm disempowered, maybe it lasts a minute or 30 seconds, where it used to last 6 months or a year. Numbing myself to it and then go, oh, this is just how life is. This is just all I'm capable of. Before you know it, that feels like the reality. Yeah, there's an option.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound very empowering though, right? And that's like,
she asked me that too.
Yeah, and I think
she was like, do you want to go that way?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. She was like, do you want to go that way? I was like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, are you familiar with like Dr. Richard Schwartz? He does like parts work, internal family systems. So he has this term called AVGO, and it's another effing growth opportunity.
Oh,
right.
Cool.
So anytime something, and I feel like you and I can relate, probably previously without doing the work with like therapists and coaches, like there were moments where it was like, it felt like, oh, like this is bad. This is crumbling. I'm never going to be able to do this or this or this. Right. And now when these triggers or moments come in, it's like, here's another effing growth opportunity. Right.
And they come in tons of waves as you play a big game in life, right? As you choose to live fully and have extraordinary relationships and love the work that you do. It's like, that's going to come with growth opportunities.
Yes, 100%.
I had a call yesterday with a former participant of Love or Fear program from a year ago. And her game was to be in a relationship with the person that she'd liked for so long, that she wanted to create a life with. She's been in that relationship since the program. She got exactly what she wanted. It's going wonderfully. And now they're talking about marriage.
Wow.
But now she's got a whole new glass ceiling she's up against, which is this fear of, oh my God, like, what if this doesn't work out?
Yeah.
I'm getting attached to the idea of my life with this person. What if they're having shaky feet? And so the game isn't, I'm never going to be upset ever again or never triggered again. It's like, to what degree can I have the life that I want?
Yeah.
Well, the same degree that we're willing to step into those growth opportunities, like you said.
Yeah, and those triggers can actually be mentors.
Yeah.
Right? With what actually needs our attention here, or what needs to still heal or feel more self-compassion and acceptance, right? Of what is, or even what is being suppressed when you feel like triggered by something, right?
And our job as coaches is to make that process as easy as possible. to set you up with a structure so that we can step into those growth opportunities with support rather than blindly run by fear.
Yeah.
And Kaitlin's alluded a couple times to our program, Love Over Fear. So to give you guys a bit of a background, what I'm so proud of with this program is that we get to offer it in a number of different ways. You can work with me one-on-one, you can work with me in a group, and you can work with Kaitlin or Roy, and we're all leading you through the same program, our Love Over Fear program. And so if you're curious, this is what allows us to offer it at different price points as well to make it more accessible for people. If you're curious about how to work with Kaitlin or myself or Roy, click the link in my bio and you can fill out an application form, and that will guide you towards what is appropriate for your development. So this is part of extending that opportunity for people.
Love it.
Yeah.
And such a great way to cultivate more love and connection and even expand into that extraordinary way of operating of what I think a lot of us, we all have that within us. It's uncovering how to take action based on what's really in us, right? And what we truly desire and what we want.
And what an incredible way to live, you know? I'm always going to have a coach. I'm never not going to have a coach because I've discovered incredible blind spots that have elevated my life through coaching.
Yeah.
And so I'm now like on this endless curiosity journey of like, how good can it get? Like, how much can we be surprised? We don't entertain that question very much. We entertain the question of how shitty can it get? How awful could it be? That one we're really good at putting our attention on. But a whole new game would be, what if it could be better than I even thought?
Yeah.
But I think the next thought that people get hooked on is, I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm supposed to know how to do that. And so our take is, you're actually not supposed to know how to do that. You're actually not supposed to know how to have something you've never had before. It's going to take discovery.
Yeah.
And that's what you and I are doing with people, is to help them discover that path.
Yeah. And thank goodness you actually don't know how, because what I see is a lot of the time in your past is something that you actually didn't want, and you know that code, but we want to create a new code of like, no, like this is new, this is different.
Right. Create a new code. I like that.
A new code. Let's crack that code.
So if you guys have any questions, just throw them in the question box. We'll save a little time for some Q&A, but we'll stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes here. Is that okay with you, Kaitlin?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. So I wanted to dive into this topic I was sharing about yesterday. I'm curious to know what you saw of it, given your background, and if I can share a little bit about how we've come to each other. So Kaitlin's a licensed counselor in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And I'm actually curious. I want to ask you now, a couple of questions are popping into my head. I want to ask you, what has you step into coaching versus counseling, and how you view the two, to give some other people some insight on those two experiences. But Kaitlin was a participant of the Love or Fear program. Kaitlin and I worked with each other for a couple of years, and it became such an obvious invitation. Like a couple of months had gone by, and it was like, Kaitlin, you have been through this. You've been incredibly courageous in your life and in your relationships. You're a highly trained person. Why don't you join the team and actually coach this work that you've been through? And so you've been on the team since almost a year? No, not quite a year. Maybe like 8 months, 9 months, right? But we've known each other for, I guess, maybe 3 years now, almost?
I think almost 3 years.
So that's been your pathway, and it's so cool because I'm looking to just take on amplifying this work, and to have you be an extension of it is just such a privilege. So I wanted to ask you your take on like counseling, being like when you step into the room and you're like, hey, I'm in counselor mode, versus when I step into the room and I'm in coaching mode. Obviously, there's going to be some overlap, but what's your view? And
like my personal view is, I think like the two in combination, like doing counseling to kind of move through trauma or childhood experiences or things that really have like that different approach of processing. And not to say that coaching we go there, but I would say like in my journey with seeing my counselor, like I really noticed that. And then I would say coaching has more of like the structure piece. It has more of the, not like telling you what to do. It's more of like there's like this compass that is leading you a bit more rather than feeling like, oh, here's the session and that's that. I feel like coaching, there's more like accountability in the sense of like, this is the process, this is the structure, this is what we're trying to move through and achieve from, you know, module 1 to module 10, for example, or session 1 to session 8, or whatever we want to say. I think that's kind of where I see the difference. And it's interesting because like I've seen a couple posts lately where like therapists, you know, are just like kind of bashing therapists a little bit, which I can see. Like I've had experiences with counselors that was really like, tell me how you're feeling. Right. And there's
It's like
nothing, right?
the whole hour is where they're just going,
I know, and I'm like, okay, now what, right? And again, I've had some, like, even my therapist today, I absolutely love and adore her because she does like challenge me a bit, and she does kind of push me in a direction, but that works for what I need right in this moment. So I think it depends on like where people are in their processing. But I would say coaching, yeah, has a bit more structure, and it feels also little bit more expansive in the way that you don't have to stay so in a box. Which I really, really like.
Yeah, I think I would agree with so much of what you said there. I think some people most people don't know the difference. And I think the key difference I try to point out, and again, you guys, we're not trying to blanket statement things here. We're giving you an average, you know, an understanding from our perspective. We're not saying one size fits all. Because there are some therapists that will take you through exercises to move you through something.
Yeah, totally.
In trauma or what have you. But generally speaking, therapy and counseling is there to really have you be heard and support you with the situation you're in. But I like to say that it is typically client-led, right? Like you're walking in going, this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And then the coach, the counselor or therapist is, okay, let's talk about that and go through that.
Yeah.
Whereas the coach is going, okay, this is the exercise that we have for you. Let's use what you're dealing with in your life and put it through that exercise. And so the coach is actually leading it more. You're bringing your life to it, but I'm going, this is what we're going to do to further or evolve what you're up to.
I think
and I love
that's definitely, yeah, I would say it's more of that future. And someone just asked like about, is counseling about the past, is coaching about the future? Yes and no. I feel like coaching, in our program, we talk a lot about the relationship blueprint and what has impacted our current situation, right? So I think coaching is a beautiful combination of both. And I like what you say, Simon. It's like, again, the fit with the coach or the counselor is the key piece here, right? If you have a nice relationship in that initial call, it feels good, like that's going to be a great determining factor, right? Of like where that leads you as well.
Yeah. I mean, like you and I both have people that we've worked with, coaches, therapists, counselors, you name it, where we trust them inherently. Like it's just like my coach I was talking to an hour ago, she tells me to jump, I say how high, like it's like I trust her with my life. And that's because of the relationship that we built together, and I feel so privileged to have that, just like you talking about your therapist. And here's a perfect example, you guys. Both of us, I would consider ourselves to be people who stepped up a lot in our lives and created rare experiences and rare results. And we both still work with coaches and therapists, right? We set ourselves up with the structure so that life can work for us and not be this brutal grind. And not be isolated.
Right. Totally.
So I wanted to ask you about the post I did yesterday. Some people loved it. Some people were like, oh my gosh, I feel so heard. And some people were like, this is dangerous, what I'm saying. And so what I shared yesterday in a live was a prevalence I've seen of people telling me that their therapist or their partner's therapist has been diagnosing them or telling them to break up or stay together. And I brought it up because I've heard this so much this year. Like, it's not like it's happened a couple times. It's like dozens of times. I even worked with somebody who is like through text messages, this person has showed me. I don't do text analysis, by the way. I think that's not communication. But they were getting divorced, trying to decide if they should get divorced or not. And then the wife of the person had a really special night with the husband, and they had this opportunity to possibly recreate their relationship and maybe start newly. And then she texted her therapist that this happened, and the therapist texted back, "I told you to never do that again." She
See,
said,
like that person
and she
needs
said,
their license.
and she said, "Do you need a smack?"
Oh my God.
And I was like, "That's disgusting. That is fucking insane.
That's not okay.
Like, your therapist, that's
No.
not a therapist.
No.
That's manipulation. That's someone telling you how to live your life. That's so dangerous." And so some beautiful therapists and counselors commented on the post and were like, "Therapists don't do this." And I'm like,
No.
"Oh, okay, then everyone who's told me this is liars."
No.
Some people are doing this.
No, there
Now,
are
they
some
shouldn't.
people
They're
that are
never
doing
supposed
that.
to.
100%.
Yeah, and I get it, right? You get biased, and you get like, you can get a little power hungry too, right? It's easy to abuse any powerful position, right? You've seen doctors, police officers, firefighters, like anybody could get a little power hungry.
Yeah.
And go, "I'm going to tell you, you guys aren't a fit together." That to me is like horrible.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
No,
So,
it is horrible. And I think you and I both can really say that I constantly am checking my biases. I'm really being aware. That's why I go to therapy. That's why I make sure that I'm not projecting certain things that I've been through like onto my clients. And when I notice that tendency, that's not to get louder. That's more listening. That's more even doing my own work of like what just hit a raw spot for me that I'm having this reaction in my body. Right. And that's
and we're human.
the thing. And
right?
we're human.
Human.
Yes.
You're having.
Right. And for someone to, like a therapist, to say that to a client, that is so offside. And that is so, like, the impact that has is like, that's wild that was even communicated. Right. And I really, it's the narcissist thing is such a trending thing. And people probably aren't going to like what I'm going to say next, but we all have a narcissist part in us.
We all
right?
can be narcissistic.
We all have
we
a
all can be
part.
Yes, we can be
So,
that.
and I'm not like, I really want to make this clear. Like, if you are being like abused and all these things, like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this idea of labeling people so quickly. And that's what I mean about this process, is that if we just blame, if we just label something, it just takes us farther away from looking inward to like, okay, how do we disrupt the pattern? How do we take a left turn rather than the right turn? But instead, we're so consumed with putting it on to something else that we're not, again, being responsible for our life and what we want to create.
Yeah, and I think that's where the message is getting lost. One is, right now, you and I are not talking about abuse. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
And I think people heard that and they're like, what? We like to go to extreme examples. Well, what if they find out that they're beating each other? That's not the example I'm talking about. I just gave you an example. Two people that possibly could rekindle their marriage, and then a therapist shuts that shit down. Like, that is what I'm talking about. That's horrible. And so now what I see happens is then that person goes, "I'm dating someone new. Let me tell you about them. Should I keep dating them?" It's like, that's not the therapist's decision. That's not a coach's decision. And again, I'm not even talking about just therapists here. I'm talking about any professional that you're going to for guidance needs to hold their biases at the door.
100%.
My job is to help you win. That's it. And so that, to answer that question about abuse. Now, I love what you said about labels. Okay, I'm going to point to you and I want to make sense of the trauma that I've been through. Well, one of the easiest ways to make sense of that is to look at who messed up in your life. Is to go, you messed up and you caused this and my parents that. And it's like, okay, now you've got that all taken care of. You're not more powerful from it. It's not going to move a single thing in life. And some people shared their experience where a therapist did tell them that their partner was a narcissist. And they said, that freed me to be able to walk away. And I said, okay, I can see how that could be a win, but now you feel like you needed their perspective to free you. And I don't want you to have to need that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to get so connected to your intuition that somebody shows up in a way that doesn't work for you, and you can just catch it and remove yourself from that situation or change the dynamic of the relationship. That to me is a tool that's going to last your whole lifetime, rather than, I'm so glad my therapist told me that my ex was a narcissist. Now I'm free to leave.
Yeah, of course, right?
That doesn't seem.
And that's the thing that you pointed out there. It's that idea of, does that work for you, right? When someone is quick to anger and screaming at you all the time, does that work for you? And if it's a yes or no, if it's a no, okay, then that's your opportunity to take a stand for yourself and be like, hey, this isn't working the way that this communication's going. So what's next?
I love the yelling example because, does that work for you? So, for example, my wife and I, we grew up in a household where yelling was not a scary thing.
Yeah.
It was a common thing. So her and I are not scared if someone yells or raises their voice. We see that sometimes that actually creates something and some beautiful connection after you get through that part. For some people, they've never heard their parent yell their whole life. And so the moment they hear someone kind of raise their voice, they get really scared and shut down. Now, maybe for that person, they need to have a certain tone in the house at all times.
Yeah.
That's their choice. That's what works for them. You talk to some Italian families, they're like, if you're not yelling, I don't know if you love me.
Mm-hmm.
And they might be used to that. And they might actually welcome it sometimes and encourage it sometimes. And it's like, we're not trying to here to tell you, like, I was actually on a call with someone yesterday. They're like, I just want to know, like, what's a healthy relationship? Can you tell me what a healthy relationship is? And I said, no, I would much rather help you create the relationship that you want.
Or just
because that's
discover what is there for you.
Yeah, and maybe you don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's discover it together. Let's have a look. Let's look at what you don't like and what doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
And then ask, what's the opposite of all that?
Yeah.
Now we got an idea. And as we shape that idea, it's going to get more and more clear. But for me to go, okay, so perfect relationships like this. You talk this often per week, and this is the things that you say to each other, and these are the things you don't say to each other. It's like, first of all, if that was what it was, you wouldn't even like it anyway, because that feels robotic and forced and awkward.
What about spontaneity and playfulness and adventure, right? That seems very, like, dialed in. And I think that's the beautiful piece about this work that we do is what a great question of what is a healthy relationship. And that's such a beautiful place to start.
Yeah.
And how do we discover that, right? Is getting clear, looking at our patterns, seeing what we value, all those things that really influence what we want to create. And
I think that's, to me, the skill of a coach or therapist is directing those questions that someone asks us, what's a healthy relationship? Yeah. And we could be tempted to give our point of view of a healthy relationship, or we could go, what would a healthy relationship look to you? And that, to me, is the real skill of the coach and the therapist, is to actually guide that question. Mm-hmm. I'm going to flip the question right back to you, because it's going to put you in an empowered place to create something, rather than you looking to me to give you the green light for something, which is going to cause you to be dependent on me.
Yeah, which we don't want. No. Right? We want you to live your life, right? And I remember my therapist always saying it's all about beautiful questions and intentional questions, right? And I that always sticks with me. It's like, really, when you're listening to this person that comes to you with, oh, what's a healthy relationship? Well, what's a beautiful question that you can allow them to take on, to discover what is there for them, or maybe what their desires are, or what they've never said out loud of what they truly want in partnership. I
love that, because you're emphasizing curiosity.
Oh,
and that's not just as a coach or therapist, that's as a partner.
Yeah.
Often that's what's missing when I work with couples and we see some of these common patterns. It's because the patterns are based off of assumptions about each other, and a whole new world would be to get curious about each other. But after you've been with someone for a while, it's easy to stop being curious.
Yeah.
And if you
I
can
love
keep that
working with
curiosity.
couples. It's the best, right? Because it's like that tweak of replace judgment with curiosity.
Yeah.
Oh.
I I I had this couple yesterday. Oh my God, they were so amazing. They're working through being on the same team, and unraveling, having been together for more than a decade, and having, one individual suppress their desires, another individual be numb to what's been going on. And yesterday in their call, we're
Yeah.
only on our third call together. Yesterday on their call, they were like competing for who could be more responsible for the outcome of their relationship. Like it went from you did this and this shouldn't have happened, and if only you would, blah blah blah, to I could have done this better, and I that's on me that happened. And then, no, that's on me. And it was like wow, you guys, that works. Like that, you guys that come with that context and that attitude, you can get through anything. Like that is such a supportive way to go through life. Is
Mm-hmm.
where can I make a difference? But we don't normally do that. We get in conflict relationships, and I go, where can you make
Yeah,
a
you're not
difference?
doing
You should probably make a difference.
all that, right? And another thing when you're sharing, Simon, is I really see like how much we project what we didn't receive growing up onto our partners, right?
So easy.
And even just getting curious about that, right? It's like, oh, like that's happening for me right now. And
Yeah.
maybe I can have a conversation about it of what I really want. Like you said about walking in the door and like that important moment, right? It's again that communication and those challenges can actually bring us closer together, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. Well, this has been a 42-minute live, so we've done a lot here. Obviously, we could talk for days and days about this beautiful profession and the beautiful people that choose to embark on it. If you're curious about working with us in the different ways that you can, we offer different price points and different resources for you. You can just apply for coaching through the link in the bio and follow the steps from there. But anything else you want to say
I
to close us off?
Yeah, I just noticed the comment about sorry, going back to the narcissist thing about
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
saying a narcissist can make you feel like you're not enough, right? And I really want to validate that situation or that person that they're in something that might feel like they're being, broken down all the time, right? And what I would encourage and in our work together with our clients, what we do is how do we start really building that core self strength for you to
yes,
really see, oh, I actually don't, I can have standards. I don't need to like put myself in this situation anymore. And I
yes,
can actually do something different. And I just wanted to obviously end with that because I don't want to not engage in that comment because I think that's an important thing to touch
yeah.
on. But yeah, this has been incredible. And thanks for everyone that had the questions who joined in. Simon, I always appreciate our chats. I learn something every time and aha moments go off. So yeah.
It's so wonderful to have you. And just to piggyback on what you just shared, yeah, we're not trying to shift blame
Mm-hmm.
onto anyone.
No.
We're actually trying to take blame out of the equation. Like we don't want you to go hear that your partner is a narcissist, and then now you become just a victim in that situation. We're not trying to flip that to go, oh,
No,
it's your fault
no, no.
that you're in a narcissistic relationship. What Kaitlin just beautifully demonstrated is how can we coach you to be empowered to put yourself in a position to have the relationship you want.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to now blame you for what the
No, no,
situation you're in. Not at
not at
all.
all.
So
And I
I'm
want
so
that
glad you
very clear.
clarified that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I remember, that idea of like your very existence is worthy of love. Right. And how do we get back to that space, especially when it comes to these dynamics that aren't serving us anymore? Right. As like, whoa, wait a second, that idea, is this love or fear? Is this coming from my wound or my worth? Right. Um, yeah. So thanks for
And that's exactly why our mission is to awaken people to their natural love and connection. Like it's actually natural. All this other stuff is just stuff getting in the way. And we're here to help remove that stuff.
Yeah. And that's
That's
the
it.
beautiful thing about having a son, right? Is you can see the pure love. I love it with
Oh
my
my God.
nephew Bodhi. I like have an instant smile because it's just like laughter and love and just and that's our existence. That's how we
Yeah.
came, right? And then all of a sudden we get buried with all these parts that are like, oh, I need to have this shield and this shield and that shield, and I block everything out, right?
Yeah.
So how do we
Oh man.
uncover
Yeah,
what's there?
we could spend an hour talking about my
I
son's
know.
smile and how amazing that feels,
Yes.
and marriage and kids and all these things. You know, I really want to see people step into the life that they really want and not be governed by fear. And we see that whether it's in breakups, whether it's people who are scared to have children, you know, whether people just simply talk themselves out of their genuine desire because they don't have everything figured out. So instead of trying to get you to have everything figured out, we want to arm you with the courage that you actually don't have to have everything figured out. That you
Mm-hmm.
could actually discover a new path. Now you're unstoppable. But if we're like, I got to know everything first and I got to have all the plan first, yeah, we're stuck. We're going to have a very limited life.
Yeah. And love is so fun and it can be so great. It can be scary at times, but like when you feel vulnerable and the way that we operate, it's like in this program is that it can be that extraordinary, bold, fierce, open, freeing love,
Yeah.
which it always is, right? But we have all these
Oh my
beliefs.
God. My wife and I, we've been together 5 years now. Our son is almost 8 months old. And the kind of way that my wife knows me and that I know her is different than any experience I've ever had with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been created. It wasn't found. That's another thing we're looking to, like, it wasn't like we found each other and then the rest was history. It was like, no, we've created this thing together and evolved together into something we didn't even know existed. And it's amazing. It really is amazing. We're hoping to inspire more people for
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Well, yeah, like Simon said, if you want to book a call with me to see if it's a good fit, I think that's always key. Link in
Yeah, you
Simon's
can.
bio, and
We
yeah,
forgot to mention that. We forgot to mention that you can do a paid discovery call with me, or you can do a complimentary discovery call with Kaitlin. If you're worried about costs and stuff like that,
yeah.
we have that option.
And I would love to, yeah, hear about your journey and what your struggles are and how we get that extraordinary relationship coming your way, or even other struggles, even in your current like couples or friendships or whatever, right? It's not just that certain relationships in all areas, right?
Yeah, love, colleagues, parents,
Yeah,
it's all relationships.
totally.
Yeah. Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kaitlin, thank you so much for being on this
My
conversation with us. It's going to
pleasure.
be on our podcast. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be in all the things that have the things.
Love it.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right.
bye
Talk to you soon.
everyone. Bye, Simon.
Bye.